Hey guys, it's Mr. Drood. This is going to be part 2 of our additional notes. We covered part 1 in the last video, and that was from yesterday. And today, if you were not in class, or if you were in class, we covered part 2, and that is the last part. This is the number 7 on the additional notes. Alrighty, so where we left off last time is we covered the 4 characteristics of a state. You will get those answers in the last video, but now we are on to the purposes of government. Now, these next 6 ideas or these 6 terms may have been confusing to some people because it wasn't really stated clearly in the additional notes, and I do apologize about that. But it's quite simple. Each of these terms like form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty are all major phrases and promises made in the United States preamble. If you guys remember the preamble, we discussed it briefly on yesterday. We discussed it yesterday, and how I remember if you were part of my group, I discussed it as it was the introductory paragraph to the Constitution. It laid out the foundation and the frame of how the Constitution would run. So that is what we are discussing here today. We are discussing more of what the preamble said and what it actually promised. Remember, it is the opening paragraph. It was telling our citizens what it was promising. And the words are pretty big, but the ideas are not as complicated as they sound. So the first one is form a more perfect union. The founding fathers started off with this after they said, "We the people of the United States," and they said, in order to form a more perfect union, they were trying to say right from the get-go that this preamble of the United States was the new law of the land. It would become the law, and it was replacing what I'm highlighting right now, the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation, which we will learn more in Chapter 2, was the first attempt of our government. The United States said, "Oh, well, we first became a country when we declared independence from Britain. We won the war in the early 1780s, and we said, all right, we like this. We're a new country, and we had the Articles of Confederation, but that did not work out so well. It was a huge failure, and we'll discuss more of that in Chapter 2. And our founding fathers in this new document was saying, that document is done. We are making this document to make a better, more unified country. And this document is the new law of the land. The next one is the next promise or statement that they were saying that this Constitution will talk about the establishment of justice. They said that they're going to establish justice. Our founding fathers wanted the young country and the people to know that this new country, this new document will create law and order. Our founders really wanted to create a more fair judiciary system or judicial system. And they wanted to give people the idea that there's going to be rights, that there are human rights. And you know what? You're not just going to be thrown into a jail cell, or you're not going to be treated poorly like some other types of quote, air quotes, justice that people like Britain gave. So our founding fathers were saying, we're going to establish justice, and it's going to be more fair. There's going to be law, and there's going to be order. The next one, guys, is ensure domestic tranquility. Our founding fathers were using big words here. You see, like tranquility, and some people were like, what the heck is tranquility? Well, in short, guys, that just means peace. Like, I'm giving peace to someone. And back in the day, when there was the Articles of Confederation, the states argued with each other all the time. New York would argue with Massachusetts. Georgia would argue with Virginia. Rhode Island would argue with Vermont. They would just argue. Sometimes it would get so bad, almost some violence would break out. Not full-on wars or anything, but there would be some skirmishes and some people going like, no, I don't have to do this. That's my land. No, that's my land. They start arguing. And our founding father says, that's not okay. So they said, we're going to create domestic tranquility. They said in this new document, in the new Constitution, we are promising that there is going to be tranquility. There's going to be peace, and states will no longer fight. And they promised this. They wanted to ease anxieties amongst the citizens because people were afraid, and there was no unity. So this was saying that there's going to be no more fighting, and we're going to become united as one country, no longer fighting each other. All right, so if you guys have not gotten this so far, what I have seen on my screen written down, please pause the video right now and write it down. I'm about to move it down and discuss the last 3 parts. All right. The next thing the founding fathers promised in the preamble was, we're going to provide a common defense. We are going to provide a common defense. And all this meant was that the government was going to protect its citizens with a standing army. Before this time, the army in the United States was very weak because states didn't have to contribute anybody to the military, and sometimes the state militias were stronger than the military. And over time, we realized, heck, hey, we need a standing army, or not. If not, other countries might try to invade and take over, and we do not want that. So what they did is that they said the federal government, the national government, they are they have full sole responsibility for the army, and they have the right to fund it or collect taxes for it. So Americans, as many of you guys know, we don't like to pay taxes. From the beginning of our country until now, we never have. But our founding fathers were saying, we need to have an army, and the federal government's going to be in charge of it, and we are going to collect taxes for it. So they were just telling people straight from the get-go that they will need to pay money in the United States, and there will be protection. This next one is promote the general welfare. People might think, oh, welfare, isn't that the stuff that people in need have? Like, isn't that like Social Security, or isn't like that like food stamps? Well, technically, yes, those would be considered welfare. But what we're talking about here with promote the general welfare is our founding fathers were talking about, the general is talking about everybody. The general welfare is everybody is going to be safe, healthy, and have peace. They were saying there's going to be peace, health, and safety in the United States. They were just simply saying it is the government's responsibility to allow there to be peace, make sure there's no fighting. There's going to be relative health, and that could be in the form of services, possibly. That could be in the form of assisting. That can be whatever it is that involves the health and also the safety of the people of the United States. And lastly, and it is arguably the most important statement that they made in this entire preamble, was secure the blessing of liberty. This line told the people that the Constitution would preserve the freedoms and rights of the people. That means you, that means me, that means Mrs. Lucas, that means some stranger on the street, and the people way back in the past, and people way into the future. As long as our country is around, our founding fathers were saying, we are promising that this Constitution will preserve means keep, freedom and the rights of the people, and that it is your freedoms, and it cannot be taken away from you. It cannot be taken away from you. So guys, that is it. That is the last part of section 1 of our additional notes. Now, I will have more videos later to come about the following sections, but if you have any questions about this or the last videos, please give me a message, send me a remind, send me an email, and also on Wednesdays, remember that I have office hours. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.